You think the world is a conspiracy against you. You wake up, you step out your front door, and you secretly believe that the universe has organized a silent, coordinated attack on your peace of mind. The barista who made your coffee too bitter, the manager who piled on another deadline, the stranger who nearly clipped your bumper on the highway. You see them all as villains in the movie of your life, deliberately writing scripts to ensure your suffering. This is a very compelling story. It is also entirely false. The cold, hard truth is that the world is not out to get you. The world is simply exhausted. Everyone around you is stumbling through a fog of fatigue, distraction, and quiet desperation. Yet, you carry the assumption of malice like a heavy suit of iron armor. You wear this armor to the grocery store. You wear it to your desk. You even wear it to bed. The iron plates grind into your skin. The sheer weight of it makes every step a grueling effort. You are exhausted because you are dressed for a war that does not exist. Your brain insists on this heavy armor because of a deep biological miscalibration. Your amygdala, the ancient, primitive alarm system in your skull, is currently running on dopamine depletion and a toxic overflow of cortisol. In a modern environment built on constant stimulation and hyperspeed, your nervous system is permanently locked in a state of hyper-vigilance. It scans the horizon for predators, and when it cannot find a saber-toothed tiger, it projects the face of a predator onto the tired commuter in the lane next to you. It is a biological betrayal. Your mind manufactures enemies to justify its own exhaustion. This illusion of malice bleeds into every corner of your daily existence, poisoning the well of your life drop by drop. Let us examine the 3 places this slow poison manifests most violently. First, consider your work. You send an important, carefully crafted email to a colleague. Hours pass. The blue light of your monitor stings your dry eyes as you stare at an empty inbox. The hum of the office ventilation suddenly sounds deafening. They have left you on read. Instantly, the narrative forms. You tell yourself they are disrespecting you. They are playing a political game, subtly undermining your authority to make themselves look superior. This feels like shouting your own name into a dark, empty cavern and hearing nothing but the mocking echo of your own voice. It feels like dropping a stone down a dry well and waiting for a splash that never comes. The silence is not just empty, it feels aggressive. It feels sharp. But this is a psychological illusion fueled by rejection sensitive dysphoria. Your brain violently rejects ambiguity. It hates an information vacuum. Because we are social creatures whose survival once depended on tribal acceptance, your mind interprets silence as exile. It forces you to assume their lack of response is a calculated, malicious strike against your worth. You never stop to think that their inbox has 500 unread messages, that their child was up sick all night, or that they simply forgot. You choose the fiction of malice over the reality of their overwhelm. Second, look at your relationships. You walk into the kitchen at the end of a long Tuesday. The smell of burnt garlic hangs in the air. You ask your partner a completely mundane question, perhaps about the electric bill or what is for dinner. They respond with a heavy, irritated sigh and a clipped, razor-sharp answer. You freeze. The anger flares in your chest. You assume they are attacking your character, that they resent your presence, that they are intentionally trying to make you feel small in your own home. This feels like reaching out to touch a soft piece of velvet, only to discover a hidden razor blade stitched into the fabric. It is a sudden, stinging paper cut. It is a small wound, but it bleeds profusely and it completely ruins your ability to hold anything with a steady hand for the rest of the evening. The biological reality is far less theatrical. It is a textbook case of cognitive overload. Your partner's prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for patience, logic, and emotional regulation, has been violently depleted by thousands of micro decisions throughout the day. By 7 o'clock in the evening, they have no emotional bandwidth left. They are suffering from ego depletion. The sigh was not a weapon forged against you. It was simply the sound of an engine running out of gas. Their brain lacked the glucose and the neural energy to soften their tone. You took it personally, but you were merely collateral damage in their own internal exhaustion. Third, and perhaps most destructive, is your internal monologue out in the wild. You are driving home. The rain is slicking the asphalt, reflecting the glaring red brake lights. Suddenly, a car swerves violently into your lane, cutting you off, forcing you to slam on your brakes. The seatbelt locks tight across your chest. The metallic taste of adrenaline floods the back of your throat. You grip the leather steering wheel so tightly your knuckles turn a pale, bloodless white. You look at the taillights of the car speeding away and you wish absolute destruction upon the driver. You tell yourself they are an arrogant, selfish monster who believes their time is infinitely more valuable than yours. This feels like a sudden predator lunging from the tall grass. It feels like a physical violation of your space and your safety. Your heart hammers against your ribs, pumping survival hormones into your bloodstream. This is the ultimate trap of the fundamental attribution error. This is a cognitive bias where we attribute other people's mistakes to their core character flaws, while we attribute our own mistakes to situational pressure. When you cut someone off, it is because you are in a hurry, or the road was confusing, or the blind spot was tricky. You are a good person in a bad situation, but when a stranger cuts you off, you strip them of their humanity. You decide they are inherently evil. You become the protagonist of the universe, surrounded by antagonists. We must shatter this illusion. We must stop romanticizing our own suffering by pretending the world is trying to hurt us. There is a philosophical principle known as Hanlon's razor. It is a mental model, a tool used to slice away the unnecessary drama of human interaction. The rule is brutally simple and profoundly liberating. Never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity or neglect. Let those words sink in. Do not assign evil intent when sheer incompetence, fatigue, or distraction is a perfectly valid explanation. Let us return to the driver who violently cut you off in the rain. Instead of seeing a selfish villain, what if you chose a different narrative? What if that driver is a terrified son rushing to a hospital room that smells of bleach and antiseptic, praying to whatever God he believes in that he makes it in time to say goodbye to his mother? What if his eyes are so blurred with tears he barely saw your headlights? Or, far less dramatically, what if he simply has poor spatial awareness and made a clumsy mistake? When you apply Hanlon's razor, you step outside the modern frenzy of hustle culture. Hustle culture demands absolute perfection. It tells us that being slow is lazy, and that any friction in our day is an attack on our productivity. It treats human beings like machines, and when machines malfunction, we want to smash them. But nature does not operate this way. Imagine an ancient, towering oak tree during a violent storm. The wind howls, bends the branches, and snaps a heavy limb, sending it crashing to the forest floor. The oak tree does not curse the wind. It does not assume the storm had a personal vendetta. The wind is simply moving from an area of high pressure to low pressure. It is just weather. Human behavior, most of the time, is just weather. People bump into you, they forget your name, they speak too sharply, they fail to signal. They are just storms of distraction and fatigue, moving blindly through their own atmospheric pressure. Using Hanlon's razor is the physical equivalent of unbuckling that heavy iron armor and letting it crash to the floor. It is stepping out into the cool rain and letting it wash the sweat from your skin. You no longer have to brace for impact. Psychologically, applying this razor is a masterclass in downregulating your sympathetic nervous system. When you refuse to write fictional, malicious backstories for strangers, you conserve massive amounts of cognitive energy. You stop the release of cortisol. You keep your heart rate slow and steady. You reclaim your internal peace because you realize their actions are entirely disconnected from your worth. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. By slowing down your judgment, you smoothly navigate the chaos of society. Knowledge without action is merely entertainment, so we must put this into practice immediately. I want you to take one ridiculously easy microscopic step today. The very next time someone annoys you, the moment the barista gets your order wrong, the moment an email arrives with a passive-aggressive tone, the moment someone fails to hold the elevator door for you, I want you to stop. Take one deep, slow breath, feel the air fill the bottom of your lungs, and then aggressively forgive them. Force yourself to assume it was a clumsy mistake. Force yourself to believe they are just terribly tired, severely distracted, or simply a little bit foolish. Choose the boring truth over the dramatic fiction. Your ego will violently resist this. Your brain will scream at you. It will tell you that you are being a pushover. It will whisper that giving them the benefit of the doubt is a sign of weakness, that you're letting them get away with it. Do not listen. Your ego loves to be the victim because the victim is always the center of attention. The victim is always the main character. Let go of the script. Feel the physical tension drain from your jaw. Feel your shoulders drop an inch. Notice how much lighter you feel when you stop carrying the weight of their supposed hatred. It is not a weakness to forgive incompetence. It is the ultimate display of mental superiority. The world is not out to get you. It does not have the time, the energy, or the organization to plot your downfall. It is merely distracted. It is stumbling in the dark just like you. Let them be distracted, let them rush, let them make their careless mistakes. You remain steady. You remain an observer. You keep your armor off and your mind clear. Stay unrushed.